Here we are at the end of recasting Harry Potter. First off, I'd like to thank you guys for watching this entire series. It's honestly been a tremendous amount of fun to make, and I really appreciate you guys being respectful and really engaged with the series. Thanks for sitting through my multiple mistakes per video and really being awesome with your choices and comments. I actually did see a comment the other day that was quite amazing. Someone was saying he's making a bonus episode about a hypothetical situation within a hypothetical situation. And that's exactly what we're doing here, because we're recasting Harry Potter, but these are my secondary choices. The ones if the actor actually turned down the role, we would offer it to this person. Now, I won't be doing every role, because honestly that would take forever. Rather, I'm doing the ones that were really close in the running. Meaning, if the actor was 100% my choice and there really wasn't anyone else in consideration, like Tom Hiddleston as Lupin, I won't be touching on that role. Now, a little bit about the future of this channel before we get started. I am going to recast another property. I do have my opinions which ones would work well, like Fantastic Four or the X-Men in the MCU, but instead I'm going to leave it in your hands. Take a look at my pinned comment below and upvote the choice you'd really like to see next. I actually encourage you vote for more than one. I actually did a version of this previously in the community tab, and unfortunately it was kind of limited to 5 choices. It doesn't really allow for multiple votes. So I'm going to do it again in the comments here so everyone has a chance to participate. And unfortunately, I'm actually going to take Percy Jackson off the table. For the time being, that is. Because if I do that series, I really want to do it well. And honestly, it's been many years since I've read the books. And I really think I should be revisiting the series before I try and recast every role. So I will be getting back to it. So if that's missing from the comments, you'll know why. So go down to my pinned comment and please upvote which one you'd like to see next. Now, I didn't get to a couple roles that seem to be popping up from time to time in the comments as well, and I apologize because I mainly focused on the actors that I felt were necessary for big names, but one that kept on coming up time and time again is Charlie Weasley, a role that is barely even seen in the films. Because I do this series for you guys, I'll be casting him quickly right now. So Charlie Weasley, although we do see that picture of him in the film series, doesn't really look like how he should look. Now, we don't have a large grasp of him in even the books as well, but he's described as being rather short with muscular arms. He's more of an outdoorsy type, and I think it should show. I mean, he studied dragons, which really isn't for the faint of heart. That's why I think Jack O'Connell would work really well for this role. He feels like he has that tough exterior that Charlie should have, and he fits that physical description very well. I could see him working with dragons, and being a little bit of that outsider from the family, doing his own adventures. So Jack O'Connell as Charlie Weasley. Now that that's out of the way, we can really focus on what this episode's really about. Now, I'm not going to go into as much detail as I previously did with the characters. Rather, I'll touch on the actor and why I may have gone with someone else, and why they might be appropriate for the role. First up is Dumbledore. It was the first role I cast in this series, and I ended up going with Michael Caine. Ask me now, and I probably have a different choice for you. I really played around with the idea of casting Jared Harris originally in the role. Of course, he is the son of Richard Harris, who portrayed Dumbledore in the first 2 films. I think he would be amazing, especially after seeing Chernobyl.
When the truth offends, we lie and lie until we can no longer remember it is even there, but it is still there. Every lie we tell incurs a debt to the truth.
But if I'm honest, I really didn't consider him because he's not really the right age. Of course he can be made to look older, but it didn't feel right casting a man who isn't even 60 yet in the character who is supposed to be 150 years old. But if I was going to recast right now, it wouldn't be Jared Harris, or even Michael Caine. It would be James Cosmo. I know you probably don't know his name, he's not really a household name that is, but you've probably seen his face either in Game of Thrones, or more recently his Dark Materials. He plays a little bit of a tougher role in Game of Thrones, but in his Dark Materials, he's amazing, and you can see the Dumbledore seeping through in that role. And he's really calm and gentle when working with the children in the series.
What happened between you and Seraphina?
We loved each other.
You loved a witch?
We had a child. A son. There was an epidemic. There was nothing we could do. He died.
But he's also a badass as well and can get really angry and big.
To fight them. I am duty bound to try.
That's why I can see him in Dumbledore's skin, and he would really nail the role. So James Cosmo as Albus Dumbledore. I'm actually really happy with the rest of my cast in Philosopher's Stone. That being said, if Adam Driver does not agree to the role, or if we're really following the rules and he has to be a Brit, there's only one other choice for the role. That's Benedict Cumberbatch. I know a lot of you really want him to be Voldemort, but he'd honestly be a really great Snape as well. He has the face even though his nose needs a little prosthetics, but he has the acting range just like Driver. He plays misunderstood characters very well and really could act his way around anyone. I honestly consider Benedict for many roles within the series, but I think he would best fit Snape. So Benedict Cumberbatch as Severus Snape. If I'm sticking to the train of needing to cast a Brit, Tom Riddle was cast as an American, Timothée Chalamet. But I always did have one other actor in mind when I was talking about the character. It would need to take him in a different direction, although many of you may not agree. But if you want to make Tom Riddle a little bit more of an outcast and less handsome and more psychological, I think Alex Loffler would be great in the role. He does amazing in The End of the Effing World, and would help translate that psychopathic nature to Tom Riddle that he has at a young age.
Your dad's a prick.
Yeah, I know. Sometimes I feel like punching him in the face.
You should definitely do that.
So Alex Loffler as Tom Riddle. Lucius Malfoy was another role that I had multiple actors that I was playing around with. I ended up going with Mads Mikkelsen, but I've always felt that Cillian Murphy would be a really interesting energy for the role. He can portray the ego for Lucius, but also the downfall.
Well, I already know what he'll say. That we should kill you.
He came very close in my eyes, but unfortunately I think Mads just looked more like the role in my mind. Nonetheless, here is Cillian Murphy as Lucius Malfoy. Now for Prisoner of Azkaban, I changed my mind so many times for Sirius. But honestly, James McAvoy was really close to taking the role. I honestly considered him for multiple roles, everything from Barty Crouch Jr. to Lupin, but it was for Sirius that he came the closest. It honestly just came down to James McAvoy not being handsome enough for the role in my opinion. I also think he'd be very similar to Gary Oldman, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I wanted to see the character be more true to the books. I still think he'd knock the role out of the park and really do it justice.
Charles Xavier.
Do you have a minute?
For a pretty little being with the mutated MCR1 gene, I have 5.
So James McAvoy as Sirius Black. As for Peter Pettigrew, I really played around with the role for many people. Paul Dano ended up taking the role in my eyes, but there were actually two that I really considered. First, I really wanted Ewan Bremner, but if I was going by the books and what I've been casting up to this point, he was far too old. So it came down to Dano and Joseph Gilgun. Now, Joseph Gilgun has made a career out of playing weird, twisted characters, and this would definitely add to his arsenal. He'd be completely different than the original portrayal, and I think it may be too jarring for some fans. That's the main reason I didn't end up going with him.
We talk.
You sound surprised.
Well, yeah, because it's anger management. I don't know, I thought we'd be smashing some stuff up or putting some boxing gloves on. Taking turns beating the shit out of each other, do we not? We don't do that, do we?
His energy might be too distant from the books and really what the character needs. Still, I could see him fitting within the role and playing with the other Marauders that I've cast. So Joseph Gilgun as Peter Pettigrew. As for Voldemort, I cast Daniel Day-Lewis and I stand by that choice. Although in the follow-up video, I did Photoshop Benedict Cumberbatch in the role, and he does look great. Unfortunately, we'll just assume he's Snape at this point, so let's look somewhere else. Honestly, there was only one other choice for Voldemort, and I originally actually cast him as Lucius. That's Mads Mikkelsen. The reason I end up going with Daniel Day-Lewis rather than Mads is because Mads usually performs with a more grounded nature.
I'm very supportive of bake-offs. It's important you find someone you're comfortable with.
And with Voldemort, I'm not exactly sure I want that. I think Daniel Day-Lewis wouldn't be afraid to go big. But with Mads, we'd have a very different portrayal. Far more different than the Voldemort we're used to, more psychological, but he could be extremely menacing. It would be very intriguing. So Mads Mikkelsen as Lord Voldemort. As for another character introduced in Goblet of Fire, Mad-Eye Moody, I was dead set on Sean Bean from the beginning. I had him in my main list of ones that I thought would fit perfectly, and I thought he could play that rough veteran type of character very well. It wasn't until I reread some information about the character that I kind of got hung up on the Scottish thing. Therefore, I switched it to Rory Mccann. And honestly, I think Rory still would be better than Sean Bean in the long run. Still, Sean Bean would be a great second choice and be really good in the character. So Sean Bean as Mad-Eye Moody. Now, Umbrage may have been the toughest role to cast. Although I had the most choices for Sirius, no one can really hold a candle to the original performance of Umbrage. Originally, I had planned on casting Meryl Streep. Ultimately, I went back on the decision because she's really too old and too tall. I felt like she could do the role justice, but it's also kind of a cop-out answer. Go with Meryl Streep when you need an amazing actress. I also did consider Emily Watson, but I don't think she could really go menacing enough. Therefore, I went with a weird pick, Elisabeth Moss. But if I'm being honest, I'd probably change this casting today. I do agree that Elisabeth Moss would be amazing in the role, but I think I found someone better, Ruth Wilson to be exact. She was on my radar and on the list, and she came very close to taking the role, but I had not seen his Dark Materials when I made that video. But now I can firmly say, Ruth Wilson is my Dolores Umbridge. Although she is definitely too pretty for the role, she still does have a touch of that toad-like look. She is made for it. Watch Luther, watch his Dark Materials, and you'll see her in full action.
We are excited by your work, but...
Oh, such a shame. There always has to be a but attached to a compliment.
I honestly really regret not making her Umbridge the first time around, and she's honestly the main reason why I wanted to do this bonus episode, because I kind of got it wrong the first time around. So Ruth Wilson as Dolores Umbridge. Now for the final casting of a big role in the series was Slughorn. I always had 2 names down on that page, and it came very close to being Jonathan Pryce. I honestly think he'd still be amazing in the role, and has all the qualities that would make for a perfect Slughorn.
Let go of vanity, pride, sin. Now his soul is so light, he will float through the 7 heavens like a bird.
Unfortunately, I don't think he looks enough like the character originally. I was looking for more of a burly man, and that's why Stephen Fry eventually got the role. So, Jonathan Pryce as Professor Slughorn. So there are my secondary choices. I apologize if I didn't get back to a character you really did not agree with, but there it is, my full cast of Harry Potter, and some secondary choices if you didn't like those original casts. Thank you so much for watching this entire series. I will definitely get to another franchise, so please upvote the comment that you would like to see next, and give me a couple months to get back to Percy Jackson. As always, thank you so much to my patrons, Adam Gray, Jeremy Jacobs, Jenny Edwards, Gabe Marchanda, Gunnar Legland, Colleen West, Marco Perry, Roland, Aidan McShane, Shalon Hudson, Kieran Hunt, Joris Conan, Brandon Warner, Sweevy, Alex Tao, Derek B. Bell, Jacob Wolf, Jerome Florich, Alex Gardula, Lisa Hewer, and Rachel Kilker. Thank you for your support, guys, and I'll see you in the next video.